Well, blessed Monday to you as we come to you with your daily encouragement. And we are at page 63 in the middle of the page, in Life Together, and the second chapter of Life Together, which is called The Day Together, talking about what it means to worship as people of God. And these are the words of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, famous Lutheran pastor who also died in the Holocaust, and very famous in his words. And he says, with free prayer in the common devotion should be the prayer of the fellowship and not that of the individual who is praying. It is his responsibility to pray for the fellowship, so he will have to share the daily life of the fellowship. He must know the cares, the needs, the joys and thanksgivings, the petitions and the hopes of the others. Their work and everything they bring with them must not be unknown to him. He prays as a brother among brothers. It will require practice and watchfulness, if he is not to confuse his own heart with the heart of the fellowship. If he is really to be guided solely by his responsibility to pray for the fellowship. For this reason, it will be well if the person so charged is constantly given the benefit of counsel and help from others in the company. If he receives suggestions and requests to remember this or that need or work or even a particular person in prayer, thus the prayer will become more and more common prayer for all. And now typically that has been the pastor's role, although it doesn't necessarily involve being an ordained minister. In fact, even in our liturgy book, it will say for the intercessions that it can be an assistant. So it is to show that it isn't the privilege of an ordained minister to be the sole prayer person in a congregation, but you as a pastor sometimes are the person that collects some of these things. In fact, even Dietrich Bonhoeffer here is even speaking of a father, or should I say the head of a home devotion. So prayer and the bringing together of prayers is not necessarily one of those privileges that are just left to an apostle, a pastor, or a deacon, or an elder. They are common to all Christians. But he recommends, as I think most of the scriptures recommend, to have a point person to receive those prayers. And I always remind people that I can never be omniscient to know what to pray for and what not to pray for. So you are always having to be open to suggestions. As I've said in the last couple of days, my more humorous one dealing with praying for the weather, especially when it comes to farmers. Sometimes you have to be judicious in not being specific in what you pray for, but yet trust that you place all things in the hands of God. And some people liked and are almost expect that they be prayed for on a regular basis, named. But I have as bought as many people who do not want to be named. But I always want to make sure that they feel included, especially with general prayers for those who have tests and surgeries coming up in the week ahead. To know that we are thinking of them, even if I'm not trying to call them out and embarrass them in some way. I mean, we have differing ideas of what is involved in privacy, and also we have to be careful, although none of the privacy laws, how should I say, do not affect a pastor or a congregation directly. But, as always in our litigious society, it is, unfortunately, a lot of the things that do get worked out when there is problems do end up in court. So I should say, even though we are not necessarily bound to the same things that people of medicine are bound to legally for privacy reasons, we still can be affected by that in great ways. And especially, I know, for those that not only have prayers that are just done in their local fellowship, but if they are on the radio or even on a situation like we are today, and are even on TV and things, those are always reminders that what we think is only going to be affecting our little fellowship can have repercussions if the wrong word is said, especially now that almost everything we do is broadcast and can be broadcast to the entire world. I'm on YouTube, and there you go. That can be immediately, if I say the wrong thing or do something, maybe even ill advised or even funny, it can spread like a virus throughout the world, and whether I like it or not, become famous. So there is that potential in even the requests, why we need to be very, very consistent and very, very concerned that we have filtered through some of the ill things that can lead us astray in this common prayer. But do not let that, on the other side, prevent us from praying and being bold enough to pray for certain prayers for people and in institutions and also situations that may be complex. So it is a balance that you need to strike, but it is important that they are going to the one person who knows all, the one person who was broadcasting things to the entire world before there were computers and telecommunications. And that is our Lord Jesus Christ, who is lifted up, who becomes the center. And even if you are the collector of prayers, the reason is that not so much that you being the collector of the prayers, you need to be the center of attention. A good prayer will make sure that God or Jesus specifically is the center of attention, because you and I cannot answer prayer, but we know where to bring those prayers to and to who we need to bring those prayers to. One of my favorite gospel songs from a long time, it's kind of a goofy one. It was called "It's Not What You Know, but It's Who You Know." The Holy Bible tells me so. Walking through this world of woe, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And that really comes to an effect when it comes to prayer. I don't have any special powers except to the one who I bring those concerns and those things to. And if I am known to being one that can bring them to God, that's all the power I need. I can bring them to God, and then I let it go. They're in God's hands now. But we need to be persistent in that, and we will be going through the different aspects of it in the days ahead as we think about our common prayer that we have together as the people of God. God bless you today. We trust that these continue to be words of encouragement. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.